I can't believe I'm dead, but a part of life, because if you can't hear, you must feel. If you live by the gun, you must die by the gun. I'm tired of talk to him.
Four men were shot and killed in downtown Kingston Wednesday morning. A police officer was also shot and injured in the incident. According to reports, sometime after 1, the police were in the vicinity of Orange Street when they heard gunshots. When they went to investigate, they were confronted by gunmen and a shootout ensued. 5 firearms, including 2 M16 rifles, were seized.
They intervened, and subsequently, men traveling in a ISIS motor car opened gunfire at them, resulting in a running gun battle. Police pursued the men, was being fired on. The car with the men eventually crashed on King Street vicinity, Charles Street. 6 men, numbering about 6, came out, opening gunfire at the police. The police returned the fire. 3 men fell there, each with a firearm.
Crystal knew her brother was not on the straight and narrow way, but was no less traumatized when she turned up at the Tranquility Funeral Home to identify his body. She shared he agreed to conduct some business for her today after a long talk about 8 o'clock last night. Included in their chat was the life he was living.
I can't believe I'm dead, but a part of life, because if you can't hear, you must feel. If you live by the gun, you must die by the gun. I'm tired of talk to him.
So you knew that he was handling gun, or you suspected?
Suspected, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Crystal says her brother's schooling stopped at the primary level.
You stop go to school, you meet go Clancarty primary, that's the last school, you forgot. But the school out there in them and town, you stop go high school, he never finish, he never go to school.
So his last school was Clancarty primary or high?
Primary.
She says their family lived at the old Jamaica Public Service Company building at 151 Orange Street, but when her mother relocated, she moved without him.
She left him behind and make him a fan for himself from him at 14. My brother depend him one. From him at 14. I will put him up when he live with my sister, he come out, he don't want to live with nobody, he want to live by himself. So make him stay who can hear, as I said, we feel. He take up some set of company with me that talk about, and he never want to really hear when me I talk to him, because him say, oh, I'm the one that talk too much. Oh, you're the one that go to church, you know, like you know too much about this and you know about that. Yeah, because I'm a girl that I'm a church girl. So, you know, when them say I got church, I'm going to like say you know too much. So me that like warn him, I said, come now, this time if you come to church, I'll invite him, and I one time I know him even come to church with me.
Crystal says she believes if her brother had proper guidance, he would not have ended up living the life he did.
So what do we know at this point? Well, first of all, a total of 253 individuals arrived in the island on the chartered flight. That number includes the crew members. Now, pictures we saw late Monday afternoon showed these passengers lining up in the pre-boarding area at the Norman Manley International Airport. They were taken back to the airport to be sent home tonight. The Ministry of National Security said Monday's activities at the airport were part of the finalization of arrangements for their departure. The government says the cost of their accommodation and return will be the responsibility of the charter company and not the government of Jamaica. But for many observers, their departure does not mean the end of the matter. And many of the outstanding questions were put to the Ministry of National Security, which admitted that the flight which arrived in Jamaica on Thursday, May 2, received the requisite approvals for operating from the Jamaica Civil Aviation Authority. We also spoke exclusively with the managing director of the airline company. His company owns the plane that flew the chartered flight into Jamaica.
Until the very day, I don't know. The citizens we had on board do not require a visa for Jamaica. We brought them there in good intention, and also to pick them up in good intention. They were then refused. Until the very day, we do not have a statement from the Jamaican authorities why we are being detained or why we are being delayed to leave again. This is unacceptable, and we have still, up to the very time, received no explanation what is going on. And initially the flight, and I think this caused some hesitation, the flight was to go there, drop off the passengers, the crew does 14 hours rest, then we would have on ferry flight to to Havana, ferry, as I said, empty to Havana. We have some passengers waiting there since a week now to be picked up and to be brought back to their destination. And then we would have returned to pick up these passengers again and phone them back. This was our itinerary.
He also feels the Jamaican government breached international law when they impounded the plane on the tarmac at the Norman Manley International Airport in Kingston, and it is costing them a lot of money.
We had to subcharter several aircraft to cover the schedule of aircraft, which cost us millions of dollars. Or almost the same. We normally calculate in dollars, so it's well over $1 million.
The Jamaican authorities, while not responding to the airline's boss, say they were alerted to the operation of the flight based on what appeared to be anomalies and missing details from its initial permit application. Additionally, the authorities indicated there were 2 passengers on the flight who did not appear on the passenger manifest. This led to investigations by PICA, and based on those checks, the decision was taken by immigration officials not to grant the passengers leave to land in Jamaica. But concerned Jamaicans are asking, why were the passengers then allowed to roam the streets of downtown Kingston given all the red flags? Our news centre captured images of them shopping, sightseeing and enjoying downtown Kingston on Sunday. The government said they were to be under police guard, but we did not see any police officers with them. The Ministry of National Security, in response to why they were allowed to leave the airport's precincts, explained that given the duration of the flight, as well as civil aviation regulations for the minimum rest period, they decided it was impractical to have the passengers wait in the plane or at the airport. They were therefore allowed to leave the airport on humanitarian grounds and go to Rock Hotel in downtown Kingston, where they had reservations. No, the matter doesn't quite end there. We were also reliably informed by our sources that members of this group of Indian nationals were attempting to enter Jamaica from as far back as September 2023. Now, the real reason for their interest in Jamaica is not clear at this time, but at that time, our sources say tourism officials were told they said they wanted to visit Jamaica for quote-unquote tourism purposes. Now, the tourism ministry, after making checks, detected what it called red flags and said that type of entry was a no-go on their part. Now, we were also told the Indians then reached out to a Jamaican sportsman to lobby the Jamaican government on their behalf for entry. However, the red flags, which included questionable security background of some of the individuals, meant the matter was not pursued. Now, our sources say the tourism ministry is therefore shocked that they eventually made it to Jamaica this year.
Several schools across the island were on Tuesday the target of a series of fake bomb threats. In the corporate area, students sitting CSEC exams at Kingston College and Campion College had to be relocated to other institutions. The fake bomb threat was issued to Kingston College in an email sometime last night. There were similar threats at Homewood Technical High School in Manchester, where external exams were also disrupted. About 7:45, the school's administrators received an email outlining that there was a bomb planted on a section of the school compound. The students, teachers, and school administrators were removed from the main buildings and assembled onto the playfield. Head of the Constabulary Communications Network, Senior Superintendent Stephanie Lindsay, says the police are seeking to find those responsible for the threatening emails.
Well, what we are seeing now is a repeat of what happened last year, and we see where there seems to be a set of persons who are bent on creating mischief. We have done the initial assessment, and from one indication it's an hoax. People are just being mischievous and disruptive, so they have cleared the investigation, and they have a discussion with the Ministry of Education and the schools, and we have worked with a protocol as to how we will treat these matters going forward.
SSP Lindsay adds that the police have been in contact with the schools that received the emails. In the meantime, Principal of Homewood Technical High School, Hidran Makulski, says the situation will be difficult to remedy while maintaining the integrity of the examinations.
So we'll have to first consult with the students to find out if they were affected and the extent, and if it is that persons are of the view that shutdown affected them, then we will have to pen a letter, of course, to CXC outlining the situation, because it's kind of difficult for them to resit the paper or to continue with the paper because they were not held in a sterile area. So we will have to dialogue with CXC and ask that special consideration be extended during the process of marking, or take into consideration their SBAs and the outstanding paper.
Mr. Mikulski says classes will resume and examinations will be held at the institution come Wednesday.
Good evening. Security remains tight outside the Bridle Path mansion owned by Drake, one day after a shooting that sent one of his security guards to hospital.
And that security was tested today with a steady stream of people coming to see the home, something neighbors say has become a regular occurrence both before and after the shooting. CTV's Janice Golding is live tonight on the Bridle Path with the latest. Janice.
Hi, Michelle. Yes, police have yet to confirm whether or not Drake was inside the home at the time of the shooting, but I can tell you there is a large security presence here, and they actually dealt with a threat this afternoon. Take a look.
Is that necessary? Is that necessary?
Not sure. CCTV.
Is that necessary?
It's CCTV.
I'm asking you a question. Is it necessary?
Yes.
It really isn't.
Security was on high alert at Drake's Bridle Path home today.
Not necessary.
He's coming off Drake's property. Security guards and a swath of police surrounding and apprehending a man under the Mental Health Act following an attempted break-in at the grounds. A multi-million-dollar mansion that's always drawn a lot of attention, never more so than now, however. The curious drawn to see exactly where a security guard was wounded in a drive-by shooting.
It feels very surreal. I mean, we're here as tourists and we just came to see Drake's house and we heard this big story.
I feel that can be very scary to Drake because it's his life and his house.
People who live and work in the area describe the increased focus on Drake's home as very alarming.
It's quite devastating, really. You know, we haven't really seen this much of excitement, that's what I call it.
It's scary because this area is, it's exclusive.
Especially as speculation abounds as to what precipitated the 2 a.m. shooting that sent a security guard standing outside Drake's front gates to hospital with life-threatening injuries.
It's really sad. The security guards are so amazing.
Natasha works next door and says she's angry about what happened.
Because they're sitting ducks. There's no anywhere for them to go, you know what I mean? Like they're just out in the open. I mean, there's a place up here and they have a security guard house.
Police have not provided a motive, but this comes as a decade-old feud between Drake and fellow artist Kendrick Lamar hit fever pitch.
Could've left the kids out of this, don't blame me.
A beef that exploded over the weekend when each released songs flinging allegations and insults at each other.
Between Lamar and Drake, there's millions of followers on a number of social media platforms. So they're going to be going through all of that to see if there were any threats leveled in the last 72 hours or so.
And while investigators work behind the scenes, private security and uniformed police are protecting the scene on the ground. Now, Toronto police say there are a lot of security cameras in the area, so they're busy pouring through footage. They haven't released any video yet, nor any images, however, of the suspect vehicle.
Drake showed off the lavish interior of his Toronto mansion. He never hid the address, even putting that nickname, the Embassy, on full display outside. But at a public council meeting in 2019, an architecture firm hired by the rap star revealed Drake's security nightmare.
Everyone knows where he sleeps, where he eats, and that has really freaked him out, us out, and we need heavy security outside.
At that meeting, the city granted Drake permission to build extra tall fencing around his property. And this week it was just outside that police say a suspect drove up and shot a security guard.
He was standing outside of the gates in front of the residence when the shooting occurred.
CBC News has learned more about the security firm operating here outside the house. Have a look at that vehicle. Jungle Lion Security presents itself as Canada's #1 provider of security services.
But no one answered our repeated calls, and the firm doesn't appear to have a website. We obtained Ontario Transportation Ministry records showing the license plate on the company's vehicle is registered to Aubrey D. Graham, better known as Drake. And the only person listed in the security firm's public profile is the man seen next to Drake in this video, his reported head of security, known to fans as Chubbs.
People that are in the rapper world, they're the most highest threat level of any people in the entertainment industry.
The Canadian star's feud with fellow rapper Kendrick Lamar has only raised the stakes, with the pair trading escalating insults and threats.
Psst, I see dead people.
In a flood of new songs devoured by fans. Police are aware of the beef, but say they don't know the attacker's motive yet.